Recently, I've been engaging in a project of archiving and consolidating my media. Now, I've already gone through this with all the DVDs that are in the house, so instead of having to go back to any one of these DVDs if I wanted to see one of these movies, they are all actually saved on a network hard drive in my house, so I can get to any one of them from any one of the TVs at any time. But now I am starting to do the same project with my video games. So at this point in the project, I am starting with converting some of my PlayStation 1 games. And I went ahead and dug up a few of them that you can see right here. I've already gotten these converted so that I can play them on my PC if I wanted to. Now, if you wanted to do the same thing, the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have a computer that has a CD drive of some type. If your computer doesn't have one, these things are cheap enough to get to plug into the USB cable. So as long as you have a PC or a Mac, you should be able to get like a USB connectable drive, whether it's CD, DVD, whatever, and start using that for archiving any games that you might have. So provided that you've got both of those, I'll walk you through the rest of the steps that I had to do in order to get these games on my PC in order to play them. I'm using a Windows PC, but this should work very similarly on a Mac. You shouldn't have to alter the instructions too much if you want to follow along on your Mac. So the first thing I'm doing is I need to install RetroArch. So let's go there now. It's just retroarch.com. We'll go to the download section, and when you're first there, it gives you some options for installing from some stores. We do not want to use those options. So when I tried using Steam, the Steam installation before, I mean, technically it works, but there were some options that were missing. I just couldn't find them in that version. And I found that if I download the versions directly from them, it just ended up working out much better for me. So let's download this one. It's going to be inside of a 7-zip file. Okay, it's gotten done downloading. I am glad that Windows 11 added support for 7Z files. So all I'm going to do is copy this from the archive, and I'll paste it right here in this folder. Oh, this is going to take a while to unpack. I'm not going to wait 9 hours for this to unzip, so maybe the Windows solution is not as flexible as I thought it would be. Okay, that's done. Don't use the built-in Windows decompressor. So all of the files have been dumped here. It's still not ready to run my PlayStation games though. Let's open RetroArch.exe. Now at issue here, if I go into load core, you can go to download a core. And so it will list all of the cores, or you can just think of these as emulators that we can download. Now the issue I had when I installed it from Steam is I could not find the core in here for the Sony PlayStation. And I'm going to use this one, Sony PlayStation PSX. Okay, so the core is installed, but it's still not actually ready to run. It needs the BIOS files, and those are not distributed with this for reasons that might be obvious to you. And the thing is, I can't really tell you where to get those either. I do have them, but if I communicate to you where to get them, some sites might interpret that as infringement of copyright. So I'm not putting it in this video so that it's not affected. Now I do happen to have them here in my hard drive. It's these 3 files. I'll put the names of these files up on the screen in larger print for you. Those are the 3 files that you're going to want to find in order to do this next step. Now there's lots of folders that decompressed here. The one of interest is system. We need to deposit those files into the system folder, which is a subfolder of RetroArch. So with those in place, I should be able to start interacting with PlayStation games now. Let's go back up a level. Now, before I do anything, there's 2 things that you'll need to be able to do. One is you want to be able to take a disk and copy the games from the disk to an image on your computer. And let me find a disk that I might not have ripped yet. Now, RetroArch does give you the option to play directly from a disk. I'm not interested in doing that. If I did want to do it, then the load disk option would be the option to use. What I'm interested in is copying the contents of the disk to an image that can be loaded from this emulator and played later. So in order to do that, I need to select dump disk. Now, once you get here, it will show all of the drives that are connected to your computer. You can dump from more than one disk at the same time. Something to watch out for is you could accidentally start to dump from the same drive more than once, and it will do that, and it will take a tremendously long time. So if it sounds like your drive is doing a lot of seeking back and forth, cancel your dump and start again. But in order to initiate the dump, if I just click on this, then now you see it says it's dumping the disk, and there's nothing else for me to do for this moment other than wait. Now, the name of the disk that it's dumping right now is called Cartia. The case this came in, it's a little odd. It actually has the thickness that you'd associate with games that had, let's say, 2 to 4 discs. But there's only 1 disc in here. I don't know why they did this. Maybe they just had a surplus of the 4 disc case, and they decided that that was what they're going to use for distribution. While this game has no association with Square that I know of, the artwork that's on the game and throughout the manual, it looks a lot like the artwork that you'd find on a lot of the earlier Final Fantasy games. The file just finished ripping. Now, as far as where that goes, it automatically goes into a subdirectory of RetroArch that's called downloads. So if you go in there, there the file is. Actually, is 2 files. There's the binary data, and it could end up with more than one of these depending on how many tracks are on the CD. And then they have an index for this information. Let's check out the contents of this file. So if we check the contents of that file, we can see it's just associating file names. You know, it's a type binary with some description and a mode it's supposed to read in. So if I wanted to rename the file itself, I'd have to also make sure that I edit this file too. So let's go ahead and do that. I want to keep the track number on there. Let's see, the name of this game was Kartia. Put a space there and save. Kartia. So it has a space. This one is not quite so constrained, so I'm just going to call this Kartia. You can see it's inconsistent with my casing there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Now, if I go back, if I want to load this game, I start off by loading a core. So we're going to load the Sony PlayStation core. Then I want to load the content. There's the game, Kartia, and let's see if it works. I should turn on the sound. Okay, so there's the opening full motion video. What we can see is that this game successfully loaded, and so this will work. Now, I am not going to actually dive into this game right now. Let's go ahead and quit. Oh, before I do, I just want to point out that there's the load content option here. That's the option that you would use whenever you get an instruction to switch disk from the PlayStation. Anytime you click somewhere outside of the game or start to do something in the menus, the game does automatically pause, but then it automatically resumes once you get focused back to the window. So let's close this, which has killed the game. Starting it back up again. While I'm using this for PlayStation right now, there are other game systems with which this works. So let's go to download a core just to show you some other ones. Some of these I've seen, some of these I have not, but they have several arcade platforms in here. There's some of the Atari systems. I see the Atari Lynx. Bandai WonderSwan. I don't think we ever had that in the United States. It's a Commodore. That's something else I never had. I see anything else worth mentioning? I see they have Minecraft in there. So we've got some of the Nintendo systems. I see the Nintendo 3DS. the DS, Game Boy, several variations of that. There's the NES or the Famicom, depending where you live, the Nintendo 64, the Super NES, the Philips CDI, and then we have some of the Sega systems. So I see the Mega Drive, the Genesis, SNK. So we've got the Neo Geo in here. And so I was using the PlayStation. I see there's PlayStation 2. So that's probably what I'll start to rip my games from next. So yeah, there's several systems that are available throughout this. I've got quite a number of other games that I've got to go rip before I'm done with the project of archiving all of my PlayStation 1 games. So I hope that this is helpful to someone. If you have any questions, let me know. Until next time.